Hello out there. I'm your mystery guest for today. Do you know who I am? Take a guess. I've been on about 500 shows on your TV and your silver screen. Big Trouble, Little China, Blade Runner, Balls of Fury, Seinfeld. You still haven't guessed? I'll send you to hell and skin you alive, you hear? My name is James Hong.
James Hong. I mean, he is a legend.
Everyone, Mr. James Hong. I believe you're a native, aren't you?
I'm not an Indian, but I'm here. Actually, I was born in Minneapolis, downtown Minneapolis on 3rd Avenue, and I have returned.
How it is that you grew up here in Minnesota,
Oh my
and
God.
you don't have a Minnesotan accent.
Yeah, sure, I have an accent. What's the matter with you? It's very deep in my memory, in a sense, this particular trip, because it is my 60th year since I've been away. I attended the University of Minnesota and studied civil engineering, of all things. I know my parents wanted me to study engineering, you know, be a doctor, be a lawyer, be an engineer. They weren't Jewish, but I just use that accent. But the Chinese, in that sense, are very much like the Jews. They want all their offsprings to become professional people, right? But don't be an actor. Because in China, being an actor is the lowest rung in life. Why? Because you're demonstrating your feelings and you're spilling everything, which is a no-no in the early days. You know, you're supposed to be reserved and keep everything to yourself and not be over expressionistic, so as to say. But however, I guess after 500 movies and TV, I guess it's safe to say I'm that person. It was no use keeping me as an engineer because I just wasn't cut out to be an engineer. The ramp? Oh, those are, so we're going this way, is that it? I'm an assistant.
Yeah, we'll be real good. And then we're going to be on stage with the mayor at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
We'll come get you.
I was walking down Marquette, I believe, heading that way. All of a sudden, I see a church there. I said, well, this looks a little familiar. Then I saw the sign says Westminster Presbyterian Church. I says, my gosh, you know, I attended that church when I was small. The Sunday school teachers of Westminster sort of adopted the Chinese at that time. This would be, oh gosh, 1930 something, or, you know, very early. I don't believe they know who we are anymore, but the fact that they took the Chinese community in those early days and made us all Christians, baptized us. And I remember it well because why? They were so kind to us. They, during Christmas, they gave us sleds to slide in Powderhorn Park and little things like that, gifts, you know, which we never got. We had wonderful Christmas because of people of Presbyterian Church. And then I saw the other thing that reminded me of a lot of things, WCCO. And I realized that started my career, believe it or not. In Minneapolis, there was nothing to do, you know, there was no clubs we could perform in, because I started out as a comic, an impersonator. My name is Peter Longley. I am going man. All right, you dirty rats. Well, yes, my name is Jimmy Stewart, yes. Every Christmas I want to jump off the bridge, yes. So I didn't know what to do with the talent I had in those days because I was just a kid in Chinatown down here on 713 3rd Avenue South. So I got on WCCO with Cedric Adams' Stairway to Stardom. I did those impersonations and I came in second. A comedy person, actually a classmate at that time, joined me as a comedy team. We came to Hollywood, we went to Hollywood, and that was the beginning of my history in Hollywood. This is you're talking 60 years ago in 1953, when we drove all the way in my old Buick down Route 66 or whatever, and landed in Hollywood. The first person when we drove through we met was our childhood hero, Jack Palance. He was eating a hamburger at Hamburger Hamlet. I guess all that talent that was inside of me during my youth and in college, entertaining myself and the audience during intermission, of course, at University of Minnesota, the dances, it just burst out. As a result, an agent grabbed me. I went on the Groucho Marx show, got the second biggest fan mail ever on Groucho's show, and everything just bubbled. And the first year, I got in a movie with Clark Gable, John Wayne, and Bill Holden. And I did 10 movies and TV every year for the first 30 years. And then
know that your work is touching people, making people feel alive is the phenomenon here. You have something that you can say to the world. Every person has something that they can say, and he's taught me to just give voice to that. We're all human. We have a story to tell.
This is my 60th year in show business. So the circle is now complete. All of a sudden, I'm back to WCCO. And here at the Comic-Con. And look at this shirt. This is my camera person. Pork chop, hill, low pan. But instead of a low pan picture, he's getting James Hong. Isn't that nice?
This man right here is the main reason I'm here today.
Oh.
And I am not kidding.
Well, the great thing about James is he worked at the Nankin, WCCO, graduated Central High School. Oftentimes we'll call people Minnesota natives when they've only been here, when they maybe have been born here and lived here for 6 months. But James actually lived here, experienced it, got his start here before he went out to Hollywood, so he actually is steeped in tradition in Minnesota. You have such great range. I mean, a lot of people get stereotyped or pigeonholed into a certain genre, but you've been able to do so many different genres, from sci-fi to comedy.
I train and pride myself in being able to portray anywhere from a heavy villain like Big Trouble, Little China, Lo Pan, to a suffering scientist, Blade Runner, a old Chinaman that's always being rescued by the white guys like John Wayne or whomever, and being a persecuted communist by Jane Wyman in those early days, all through. And I have yet to really play the major role as a businessman or as a major role as a professional person. And that's why I work so hard, because I advocated for those better images as a principal person in America. But especially in those early days, they just didn't portray us in those roles.
Right.
I don't know such stuff. I just do eyes. Just eyes, genetic design, just eyes.
Meeting James was such a great experience because I've been such a fan of his, especially Blade Runner. I'm just a gigantic, huge Blade Runner fan. To meet somebody that actually got to be in that film, to me, is a great experience. Especially since James is from Minnesota, and to see his career going back from 1950s all the way to 2014, and knowing that he had worked at the Nankin and WCCO, I feel like I'm maybe halfway through my career as an actor. I feel like I got many years left, and he's 85 and still acting, so that's a lot of inspiration for me to keep plugging away.
As all the old Chinese restaurants downtown, they're all gone, in other words, all my friends and maybe even some relatives own all those places, John's Place and Kin Chu restaurant. In fact, my dad opened a nightclub during the Depression days called the Golden Pheasant opposite the Radisson Hotel. In those days, the Chinese were really, looked down upon. And so he had to fight for the rights with the government and so forth. In a sense, I inherited that aggressive spirit of his to push forward in Hollywood, you know.
You said you learned how to play villainous Asians from watching Peter Lorre.
Well, that's true. Peter Lorre, well, actually, he was a hero at that time.
Yes,
he was a
yes.
detective. But he was always the mysterious. Mr. Moto, that's my name. You got a crime here. Somebody murdered somebody. He started it all in a way.
Yeah.
He was before Charlie Chan.
Really?
I think so.
Before-
Being a Minnesota child and being of Minnesota upbringing, having that background, going to Hollywood, did something. You know, it gave me the aggressiveness, even though you don't think of your life in Minnesota as aggressive, because usually people say, you know, oh yeah, well, yeah, sure, it's very calm here. It's true. But inside of me was something that wanted to get out. Once I got into Hollywood, that gave me the medium to do it, being in show business. And so all that I wanted to express, that my parents from the villages of China, you know, all that background, I think somewhere that whole karma, that whole yin and yang started to burst out. And I did my thing in Hollywood. I saw that there was not enough opportunities in Hollywood for the Asian American actors. And so I started to protest for better roles. And I started the East West Players, which is now the biggest organization of that sort in America and probably in the world. Things happen. Well, you know, I don't know, the pieces just fit together. It was the correct time. Who can say what happens to you in life? You just do your best, and pretty soon something will happen if you are the right person.